My Gavan and Melanine, and well met indeed. I'm Arik Galadurthan, the head of Divide and Conquer, but welcome back to Age of Empires 2 HD. We continue on with another one of these fun little overviews, or commentaries, narrations, little videos of enjoyment. As ever, we'll skip through the Dark Age, but I'll begin by telling you a few things. Number one, stay tuned in the future for... My internet has just improved, although we're working out some major bugs. Certainly given that my speeds are not... Wi-Fi is causing a problem. Anyway, my internet has improved, so I might try and look to do some streaming of when we actually play these games live. So that's a good one for the future. If you're wondering what all the spiel going down the left-hand side currently is, it's because this is a map of 2 versus 2 versus 2 versus 2 versus 2. And what we did was we split the 4 best players off into team 1, 2, 3 and 4, and everyone else went random. So it was random who you were going to get. And I was very pleased to get Grumpy, and I said that to him, and then I was like, oh, it's awkward if you don't want me. And then he didn't say that he did back, and I was like, that's close enough for saying you wanted someone else. And that's when he said, what are you, my ex? But anyway, the other update to say is that I'm getting a new computer in about a week, and I'm really excited. So the video quality should improve when that arrives. So stay tuned for that. But now to the game. Everybody in this game was random. Everybody played as a random nation. I'll jump back down to this just for a moment while we talk about the teams, otherwise I'll be caught out. I am playing as the Mongols, a nation I have basically never played as. They don't play to any of my strengths. My strengths being an absolutely overwhelming, mind-bending economy, so that by the end of the game, I can out-churn trash more than everyone else. Basically, I can get more trash out than anyone else, and I also try and get so much gold that I can actually get... I can make gold units my trash units. And that tends to win in these games. So, that's why... Also, I won't tell you again who wins. And I'm going to talk about that at the end. But with me is Grumpy Pirate. As I said, Grumpy is playing as the Incas. And we are right next to each other at the top there of this map. Now this is another special map. Which special map, I hear you ask? It is... Oh no, it's Mega Random, sorry. This is Mega Random. Which is essentially a special map, but not 100%. Right, if we swap over to Avadim. Avadim is the Berbers, a nation I do like to play as. But as you might have guessed, everyone is really close together. We've just seen, Grumpy Pirate is about here, and Avadim is over here, playing as the Berbers. Now, he is allied to Aefrod, who's playing as the Koreans, a nation who he's actually started playing as quite a lot more. He's branched out from Britain. I haven't seen him play Britain in ages. But he's playing as the Koreans, and he's with a Avadim. Now, away to the south is Matt. Now, I'm having to check this because this one was played like a good couple of weeks ago. I've got so many backlogged. But with them is Matt, who's playing as the Aztecs. Now, the Aztecs are a very fun nation. All of their military units are either created faster or they're cheaper. I think they're cheaper. No, I think they're created faster. Oh, I can't remember. Will it tell me up here, actually? Aztecs. Military units are created 15% faster. But also, I'll touch upon the Aztec-Mayan dichotomy in a moment. But he is allied to Brasidas, who is the Turks, as that tells me. Now, Brasidas is very, very fond of raiding. So much so, in a game we played yesterday, he basically just raided our entire base from the start of the game till the end, constantly sending minor, like 1 or 2 knights against us, hunting down villagers on the outskirts, making us focus on there, and then out of nowhere he hit us with a horde of cavalry and won the game. So, he's certainly been brushing up on his techniques, Grumpy suggests, and I'm inclined to agree with him. Well, I thought that was a pond then, but it's not, is it? It's just a tree shadow. But anyway, so Brasidas and Metz as the Turks and the Aztecs. And finally, that brings us to the scum of It's Sub-Zero playing as the Italians. Now, of course, the Italians are widely considered as, or universally considered as one of the worst nations in the game. Probably because, I don't really know why. I mean, their gunpowder units are cheaper, which is a really solid bonus. And their trade units cost a bit less, but that's only useful if you get it before you set up your trade, and even then it's debatable how useful that is. Foot archers getting 1 armor and 1 pierce armors, that's alright. I mean, that's not bad. You're not going to throw that away, are you? And No, otherwise they're pretty average. So unless you can get gunpowder units and a lot of money, you're not really going to do much. And finally, with him is the true scum of Abaku Manar, who I believe is actually from America. Although when I see Baku, I just think of Azerbaijan, as that's the capital of Azerbaijan. And I assumed that maybe it was something to do with that, and maybe he was Azerbaijani, and I thought that's really interesting. But then I think actually he's from America. If you're watching Manar, do let me know where you're from. Now, as you can see, he's walling himself in. We've discovered each other. This is me. This is me up here. We've discovered each other. And he's walling himself in. To block. Now, but what you want to see is the map. So, eyes peeled. This is the map. We're all very, very close together on this central island, which everyone has discovered reasonably quickly. Although Grumpy and Avadim have got a really big gap between them. Look at that. That's huge. When you consider that me and Baku are basically on top of each other. Similarly down here, actually. Brasidas. Oh, it's because it's probably meant to be like 3 versus 3, isn't it? So these 3 are close together, and these 3 are close together. Or these 4. So where's the 4th member? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, because Grumpy's close as well. I don't know. Although 4v4 would make more sense, wouldn't it? But there's these numerous little smaller islands with resources on them dotted around the edge. And a bear. Just in case you're wondering. But I'm going to have to keep the fog of war off for this one, I think, because it's too difficult to see what... Because there's 4 teams, I'll see each person's perspective if and when the time requires. But much of the early game, I must confess, is dominated by the kind of land war that I share with Arbaku. And who's going to claim more? He puts his wall quite close to my town centre. But anyway, sorry, we're still in the Dark Age. Let's go back to times, whatever, 4. Brasidas is first to the feudal. Oh, no, he wasn't. He was already there, wasn't he? Mats as the Aztecs. Now, the Aztec and Aztec Mayan thing, and I happily hear your thoughts on this. But I was playing as the Mayans, and I'm reasonably confident in my ability with the Mayans. I think they're a solid nation, and their Eagle Warriors obviously are outstanding. And we'll swap that back at about 20. I played against a player who was arguably better than me, but he was playing as the Aztecs. Now I thought, hold on, we've got these Eagle Warriors with an extra 40 HP. These Aztecs aren't going to be a problem for me. And oh, how was I wrong. Abaku has got a tower there to stop my stone wall building. I just can't get near it. Many villagers will pay with their lives to try and build that section of wall. Afraid built a big wall along here. But to my surprise, the Aztecs outclass the Mayans in almost every single area that they can. I mean, it's just outrageous. The Aztecs carry 5 more, the Mayans make resources last 15% longer. Debatable which one of those is better. Arguably, they're very similar. But the Aztecs' complete outrageous ability, Garland Wars, whereby every single infantry unit gets +4 to its attack, just means that the Aztec Eagle Warrior just totally shreds the Mayan one. That 40 HP bonus is nothing when the Aztecs come at you with their fully upgraded units. And you might think, yes, the Mayans get the plumed archer, but the plumed archer, by its very nature, isn't that good against Eagle Warriors, because Eagle Warriors are a kind of anti-archer unit, second only really to units like the Huskarl and dedicated anti-archer units. And so when you're playing as the Mayans, you've got a real challenge if you're playing up against the Aztecs, because they're just better than you. If you go for a horde of plumed archers, yes, you'll take out their Jaguar warriors. Oh, I hate using that way. You'll take out their Jaguar warriors, no trouble. But the minute they bring their better Eagle Warriors upon you, you're out. That's it. Your approach seems to be faster than the Aztecs. That seems to be the only tactic here. But anyway, let's see what's happening on the edges. So, Aerfrode has built a big wall, so has Mats. They are just ignoring each other, basically. They've agreed to not speak, is what we've got going on there. Now, in the south, Brasidas and it's Sub-Zero again. There's a wall, but they have got military buildings next to each other. But the real battle at the moment is between myself and Arbaku. who are fighting this war here, where I've got the barracks right on the edge. I was taking down the gate. Now, foolishly, I did spend a little bit too long attacking the gate. I needed to spend a bit less time, but he's now in the castle age. He's got a barracks and an archery range, and he's getting units out of both of them. And I'm still in the feudal with only a barracks, and now all my troops are dead as well. I've got some units in there. If you swap back to me, oh, I'm on the way over there. I've got 4 units in there, which would be able to drop those pikemen, no trouble. But the others are just currently roaming around, taking out my villages. Now, over on this side, Grumpy, being Grumpy, is building his wall of buildings. And Avadim is just kind of waiting. Avadim and Grumpy have give each other a lot of time to build up. They both know they're there, but they ignore each other as well. Not to the extent that Aerfrode and Mats have done, where they're just walling away the problem. But Grumpy and Avadim is like a tension situation. They're having a Cold War, whereas we're having a very real World War. How I would describe it. His tower is slowly doing a number on my house, which is just stupid. You can fire as many arrows as you like into that building. Unless they're on fire, you're not going to do anything. The game can't play like that. It's got to have some things, isn't it? But I'm getting a reasonable amount of wood. I've got some farms. I'm building buildings, building troops. But men-at-arms aren't very good against archers. He's also repaired his bloody gate. But I'm walling in up there as well, you know. I'm adding my own little touch. Only a little bit of spice. And I'm starting to trade with Grumpy. Minor trade though it is, we're trading. I've just alerted Grumpy to my pretty poor situation. But it's at this point, unfortunately, that Avadim decides to attack. Just as I call Grumpy for aid, Arv attacks Grumpy. And seeing that he's got a big wall here, he just goes around the edge. Every time. Every time. He's walled from the sea all the way to there, but decided this section not worth it. Maybe because he thinks this section is my responsibility. And then in that case, I've dropped the ball. So that's disappointing. My military units all came out of the castle, of the barracks, and died. His tower and his now upgraded crossbowmen made short work of my military units, and he's now got free reign to attack my economy until I can train more units. Elsewhere still, though, Aerfrode and Matt still just walling each other out. Just ignoring the problem. Brasidas has got a castle up on its Sub-Zero. And the castle is winning, basically. The castle is beating the tower. Sub has got 2 town centres, but has nary a farm between them. And but he has got fishing. He's going for fishing. Back in my base, where there's most action, the archers have moved in and are starting to just drop my villagers left, right, and centre. Getting a dock down. Seeing that we might need some fishing ships here. Back with Avadim and Grumpy. Arv starts putting a castle right there, which is now going to make this wall of buildings null and void. I understand why you do this theoretically, but I still think in practicality and in games like this, a stone wall is better. 100% better. And it can take 3 villagers just less time to build a stone wall and less resources than it can to build all these buildings. And these buildings cost a lot of wood. Like, a house has 900 hit points. A wall has, by comparison, 900, but its defense is outrageous. These knights wouldn't drop a wall in the same time that they drop a house. There's behind-the-scenes armor work going on here. Back over in my base, I put down another couple of towers, and they're doing a good job. Got villagers in the towers, but sadly, watchtowers are just pathetic against Castle Age units. As you might see, I haven't even got a blacksmith. He's put another archery range on this side of the wall. He's got another one there. Playing to the Ethiopian strength of their archers firing 15% faster. And he's chasing down my villagers wherever he can chase them down. It's looking very bleak. As I say to Grumpy. as most of, if not all, my villagers die. Now my trade goes down. Not my car. Didn't even spare the horse. He starts building a siege workshop, interestingly, before he goes for a castle. Has he got any stone? Ah, no, he doesn't have any stone, that's why. But, it's bleak. I'm just using resources where I can. He's dropping Grumpy's economy now. Grumpy's houses have fallen, and the castle there, he's got no answer. Although he has got his own castle there. And a siege workshops to support it. So it's kind of a balance of power. One side's doing... Arv's doing well here, and Grumpy's doing well here. But he doesn't get that other wall up. Yes, well done, Grumpy. Apologies for the audio click you hear when I turn my microphone off. But I think that little sort of minor click is much better than me just hacking down the thing. I have got a drink to counter the effects of the cough, but it is first thing in the morning, and it does strain my voice. He gets siege workshops out as well. And so I have decided the honourable thing to do is to run away. Now, if we lock the fog of war, we will see that Arbaku has no idea what's out in the sea. Absolutely not a dicky bird. How much does his ally know? Oh, we'd know because he can currently see everything his ally sees. Come. Oh dear, Brasidas is doing very well in the south. Ah, interesting. Knowing how this game actually unfolds, it would seem that now would be a very, very good time. Knowing that all of my villagers have disappeared, now would be a cracking time for Arbaku to actually head south and assist his really ailing ally. Brasidas is about to get a castle up next to his starting town centre. He's got a battering ram and he's got janissaries already. It's looking bleak for Sub-Zero. It's looking remarkably bleak. And Arbaku is just not responding. Well, I've gone to the castle age, used my resources to at least do that. If we swap out again, Brasidas, no threat from Mats. Mats is just relaxing, just chilling. Maxing, relaxing, it ain't too taxing. Boom. He's doing nothing, basically, is what I would describe this as. He's really chilling. And Aerfrode's doing the same thing. They're both just relying on their little interior piece to both get economically strong. Aerfrode's fled over to this one. Not fled, but gone over to that one. Now, the fight between Grumpy. Grumpy's walled in his siege equipment over there, but unfortunately his economy is wide open to attack. And Arbaku presses through my base and comes at Grumpy. But my force has retreated, and we get a town centre up on this little mini island behind us. But Arbaku, very, very aggressive. Now, what I would say about Arbaku, actually, we played with him about 3 or 4 times now, actually. He's a solid addition to the gaming. I'm very, very pleased that he's found his way into the group and come and joined us. But he is the most aggressive player I think I've ever seen. He can rush like absolutely the best of them. I've never seen someone rush as good as this in our group. Even when I compare him with Talon, I'm tempted to say that Talon, who is arguably the best rusher that we've got, I think Arbaku would give him a run for his money. But in almost every game we've played, if you can survive Arbaku's rush, he totally bottoms out. Like, he goes from one of the best players in the game to like sub-beginner. And no offense to yourself, Manar, I apologise, but this is just my reflections on what I've seen. And I think it's because, if you are listening, and if I will refer to you as you, I think it's because your economy always falters. Because you focus so much on being a really super mega aggressive. And it really means that your economy then just gets no attention. And I think it harms your overall play. Because in all the games where people have survived your early aggression, you seem to flounder a bit. I always say that if I'm good, I mean, you're better than me. If you want me to say that, just to quell the the potential insult that I'm giving you there. But I just like to reflect on what I see people do. I have a very good theoretical knowledge of the game, but a very poor practical application of that knowledge. So I understand quite apparently what you're kind of meant to do, and I just don't do it. Because I'm just not fast enough. Or I just don't think that's fun enough. Well, we'll swap back to the Grumpy Arv situation. Grumpy has kept Avadim out. His economy is still going, and with Arbaku now finally retreating and supporting Brasidas, his whole army is in the south. Grump has an opportunity, a little window to repair, defend himself. If you see what Grumpy can actually see, he's well aware that my base has been destroyed. My outpost remains standing for quite some time, so he's well aware that Arbaku has no troops here save for those three. But his siege equipment is doing all right, although he is sending it in on its own, which is an interesting one, because Mangonels, as you can see, have like no pierce armor. Oh, that was a cracking strike. If he can just get back to the safety of his castle. Chasing that knight down. So he's doing all right. I mean, he's encircled and trapped. But just not enough. But Aeroflot has finally joined in. You can hear the Undertaker's hammer, can't you? Smacking that last nail in the coffin. Grumpy resigns very early. He is out. Grumpy has abandoned me. Just so that we're all clear. Right, we'll turn the fog of war back off as Grumpy's gone now, so it doesn't matter where he can see. This is what Grumpy left. A little bit of economy. So now Avadim and Aeroflot will just mop up the rest of his base. But over on the other side, with the support that Arbaku has now sent down, they've managed to stall Brasidas' advance. But Brasidas has got some ships, actually. Now, you might be interested to know what's happening with me. I've got some villages going on around the town centre, but I've also fled to the next island as well, where I'm building another town centre. And at the moment, nobody knows where I am. Aeroflot has no sight range. Sub-Zero has no sight range. Manar has no sight range. Brasidas has no sight range. Mats has no sight range. Mats doesn't even have cartography yet. Get cartography, you madman! Oh, no wonder he doesn't support Brasidas in any way. Brasidas is his ally, isn't he? Yeah. Because he just doesn't even know that Brasidas is attacking. Like, he literally has no idea. Unless Brasidas has told him in the text, Mats is currently completely oblivious to the fact that his ally could really do with some help, as he's currently dominating on his own over here. But now that Avadim and Aeroflot are free, it's interesting to see what they're going to do, because the wall will surely come down. Now, of course, this game, disclaimer somewhat, I spent the rest of this game furiously trying to rebuild. As you can see, I've fled to some islands, and I'm scouting those islands out. If you see what I can see, I'm sitting around, I can see a bit of an island there. I'm scouting, building town centres on these islands and supporting myself. So I didn't really watch what happened on the mainland, so this is as new to me as it is to you. So I'm interested. Now, the Mongols get a unique tech with the Age of Conquerors, whereby destroyed houses don't lose their population, but it takes me a little while to train it, but that's why I don't delete any of the houses just yet. Also, they take ages to take down my market, and I have a stables there as well that they abandoned. They don't even take down that barracks. They just leave it up to the watchtower to do that. But Aeroflot and Arv just mopping up Grumpy. And so Mats has this little brief respite. He's walling himself in though, he's left a camp there. And he's got 3 docks, which is interesting given that he's only got 4 fishing ships. So that's an interesting one. Certainly a very interesting one. I like this like dead zone, no man's land between the 2 walls. Brasidas is really piling on the pressure now, isn't he? He's got a trebuchet coming up, he's got 2 siege, he's healing his janissaries, he's got some siege battering rams with troops in. Arbaku's forces seem to have died, and as I say, he now seems to not have much. He's not like replenished. What's his actual monetary situation? He's got 1,000 gold, he's doing alright on gold. And he's starting to get some stone, and he's also starting to get some ships. Again, purely because they now know that Brasidas has taken a bit to the sea. Ah, so that's where all their forces are going. They're getting large navies. Well, we'll pop it up to ×2 for a bit, as well. We're just waiting for the attacks here. I'll tell you what we'll do as well. If we play as Mats, then we'll be ready. We'll be told when we're under attack. Oh, sending in the Shotel Warriors. Shotel Warriors are so good against siege equipment. All of them will die, but they can drop siege equipment faster than any other unit I know because of their outrageous attack. 16 attack. They're the ultimate glass cannon. Basically, if an enemy unit looks at them, they die. But if they can get into attack, they can drop almost anything in one go, and they're just ruin siege equipment. But if you send them one by one like that, then they're not going to do anything. They're arguably one of the worst units in the game when you think of their armor and health. Their survivability is one of the lowest, but their attack's one of the highest. The very definition of a glass cannon. Although, as you normally suggest, a glass cannon tends to actually shoot things. But Brasidas really piling on the pressure. It's an interesting little battle over here. He's putting a castle up. I'm not sure how I feel about putting a castle in range of an existing trebuchet when you've got nothing that can counter it. I think that's just a loss of 600 stone, really. But if you don't go there, your battle line gets pushed back and back and back. But then Arbacue has all of this northern section to himself now. Matt's still not under attack. Brasidas still not under attack. Oh, there we've got some cavalry coming around the side from the Italians. And he's used his pikes perfectly to split them up, but they are going to drop that trebuchet, I would suggest. They pay for it again with their lives. What is actually happening over here? Oh, they're still just mopping up Grumpy. Interesting. Oh, yeah. I am certainly of the school of thought that believes that once an enemy has fallen, my entire army will just leave that person's base and move on to take the next person down, because otherwise the games can just go on forever. But Avadim and Aerfrode are both very happy at the moment to just pooter around Grumpy's base, gaining points to their buildings destroyed tally. Aerfrode's still only got a woodcutter's hut on that island, nothing more. There's no one on that island yet, although I've discovered it. Sub-Zero hunting getting some fishing there. There's my second island there, getting a dock up. My first island has a house and a dock. We are expanding! But Mats has come under attack. Oh, he's trebucheting Aerfrode's castle. That's interesting. He's incurring the wrath. We'll swap back to where it's interesting with Brasidas. Using his trebuchets again. More Shotel warriors have come in. Look how much damage those two Shotel warriors did against that trebuchet. It's outrageous. To keep it still sped up. But with my faster internet, it doesn't matter how big this is now. It should upload at my house with my own internet, which would be good. It's all going on. But I'd certainly say Brasidas has definitely got the upper hand, but Aerfrode is attacking Matt somewhere. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Coughing and exhaling at the same time. Oh, Mats is getting elite Eagle Warriors. He's not trained Garland Wars yet, but he doesn't seem to either have trained any blacksmith techs. Because when they're fully upgraded, they have a 9+8 attack. Interesting. Brasidas really getting the upper hand. He's dropped another castle. Those trebuchets, they've got no counter to them at the moment. Sub-Zero really getting pounded. He's back to his second base. Oh, hold on. No, that was just a pause. I thought he might have resigned. Those Janissaries are just so effective, aren't they? But then you can win the game with any nation if you rush. As proven by this, the Ethiopians are... I think the Ethiopians are actually a really good nation. Their siege equipment is outrageous. I think we've played a few games, total tangential, I'm sorry, but we've played a few games where some people have been the Celts allied with the Koreans, and they go on and on about how amazing the siege equipment is. The Ethiopian unique bonus, whereby their siege equipment has a higher area of effect damage, or affects a larger area. It's just insane. I have killed easily upward of 50+ skirmishers in a single volley from about 5 mangonels, onychas. The Ethiopians are outrageous. I've got a couple of videos actually whereby my onagers as the Ethiopians just destroy our enemies. So all we need is one of those players that really like Siege to finally play as the Ethiopians and realise that they're up there in contention with the Celts as the best Siege. Brasidas really putting on the heart now. On the heart? He's putting on the heart now. He's putting on the heart. Italians getting another castle up, and that's only going to be destroyed as well. He's really carved a hole into their base, hasn't he? Should we swap back to me for a moment? I've got a couple more houses. I'm taking every single resource I can, even fishing around the edges. On the first one, I have added nothing still. I think I'm just sitting on resources. I'm just holding out. Anyway, let's swap back to Matt's because there's warfare over there as well now. He's dropped Airfrode's 2 castles. That's a very interesting wall design. I wonder why they've not all merged to be one line. Oh! Manar using his reasonable fleet to do some damage to the barracks that he's built right on the edge. Interesting. Interesting indeed. Mats doesn't seem to be a sub-beginner player. He seems to be doing alright. I mean, he's got a couple of town centres, which is your first indicator that he's not like a noob. Because in every new person that's come to the game, they barely ever build a second town centre. And he's got a solid amount of military buildings. So so it's some curious decisions, much like myself. Certainly not a beginner, but just makes the weirdest decisions. Yeah, those Janissaries are just stopping anything getting through, aren't they? Still not elite Janissaries yet, though. The Turks just require too much gold. But then, look at this. This is what I mean. When you focus on your military and your devoted attention there, you suffer elsewhere. Brasidas' base has got nothing in it. This is the same yesterday. We played a game yesterday, as I said, where he raided us constantly. And then he attacked us with a full set of paladins. Foolishly made a... I didn't fully wall up my base, and he ran them in and destroyed my economy. And, but then when the game ended, and we got to see the whole map, he had like no base. His base was literally this, in the Imperial Age, with 50 paladins running around the map. This was basically his base. It's like he's devoted all of his runtime, essentially, to this attack, that his base suffers monumentally. So if, in this moment, for example, if Sub-Zero and Baku could hold him back, if they just hold him where he is, then he's totally susceptible to an attack from this side. But of course, whilst Mats isn't aggressive and barely even has a military unit to his name, his stone base is holding back Aerfrode just by the fact that it would take a while to crack through it. But Avadim and Aerfrode are curious. They're just sitting, doing nothing at the moment. They are literally doing nothing. Avadim's got 3 town centres in very close proximity, which again I would question the efficiency of his farms there is severely depleted. But they've just got no units. They've got nothing. This is the combined force of Avadim and Aerfrode. At the moment, Brasidas firmly on top in terms of the score with a solid 9,000. I am solidly bottom, as you might expect, as I just have these 2 little islands. Although, we've sent our expedition to the southern island as well. Our 3rd Dan point will rise. But anyway, back to Brasidas. He's just slowly moving forward, slowly edging forward. Sub-Zero is really... Has he quit yet? No, he hasn't. That surprises me. I don't even think he's got a town centre. Oh, there it is. I spoke too soon. He's abandoning his trebuchets. That's an interesting one. They're a significant investment in a game where you're this close to the enemy. I mean, they're 200 wooden gold each. There's 600 gold there just going down the drain. I find that very, very peculiar. Now, of course, the Ethiopian siege is totally standard and normal and arguably subpar until you get their unique tech. Oh dear, he's rushing villagers in to drop that. He's very, very desperate. They're going to do it, though. There's enough of them. He's gone for the communist tactic of throw everyone at it, and if they find a weapon on the floor, then they're welcome to use it. If you could just run at the enemy, try and look as menacing as you can. That might do it. Oh, and take your shirts off. Definitely take your shirts off. Otherwise, it's just not going to be worth it, is it? But he's seizing on the opportunity that he's just wiped out their entire military, and he's pressing forward to kill anything he can. Sub and Arbaku putting up a reasonable fight. Oh, Sub-Zero has run away up there, that's why. In the stalemate created. Oh, Avadim's finally training units. They're actually prepared to do something. Oh, and look, Mats has totally retooled and is now just wrecking Minar's fleet with his superior fireships. Fireships, of course, being better than the fire galley, as they are the upgraded version. And if this game teaches you anything, it is that no matter how many units you have, 9 times out of 10, the upgraded version will always beat you. The differences are just substantial. They're improved across the board. It's not like blacksmith's upgrades where it's like this one improves their attack, this one improves their defense. When you upgrade a unit, in almost all situations, its attack, health, and defense all go up. Ah, Mats finally has cartography, and he's finally realised that Brasidas is actually doing something. And he's run over to join in. He's sending his Eagle Warriors. They're 9+5 now, so I think he's got the blacksmith techs. He's got something, but he still hasn't completed his upgrades just yet. Ah, but Avadim's finally arrived. Now, unfortunately, the walling up scenario in a small map like this will ruin you. Grumpy and I had a little bit of a debate about this yesterday in the game where Brasidas was raiding us, because I suggested we all wall up. We had about half the map, they had about half the map, so I suggested we just build a wall. Grumpy disagreed and said that building a wall is a classic way to lose. But I heavily disagree. One villager spending a little bit of time building a wall is not going to see me lose the game. Now, in this situation, yes. Mats has essentially built a prison for himself rather than a safety wall. Because the map is so small, the wall is just hindering him completely. But on a large map where, say, if the wall ran from like there, that point, all the way across to that point, and it was built by like 3 teams, then you'd secure your half of the map with a wall that you don't have to put all your attention in. And it'd still protect you from raids. There's nothing worse than having your economy destroyed. It can really, in games like this, with the skill levels that we all have on show, a solid raid to take down someone's economy in the feudal age, especially in the feudal age, but to an extent in the castle, that player is out of the game. There's no 2 ways about it. Nobody at this stage is good enough to come back from a full economical raid and destruction. Unless they get raided and they've got 2 allies. If there's allies involved, then maybe your allies can hold the slack, pick up the slack. But it's just, unless there's a unique situation like this map, if your economy gets raided, you're normally out of the game in these Steam games. And the fact that Brasidas has since discovered this, I don't know if it's a build order or he's researched something or he's just practiced on his own, but he got to the castle edge lightning fast before anyone else. And by the time he had his like squad of 40 paladins, like we barely had even a unit to our name. It was a slaughter, and unfortunately, it just decides the game. And like as soon as you saw his paladin army, you're like, well, this is over. It might take him 20 minutes to beat me, but it's over. So that's my inherent annoyance with rushing, and I'll tell you it now as we watch AFROAD slowly take down this wall. If you're playing against some people who maybe aren't that great at the game, or they might be good at the game, but they're not very good against rushing, and you decide, you know what, I'm going to rush one of their best players. It's 3-on-3, for example, and you're like, I'm quite good at rushing. I'm going to rush their best player. I know that they're not that great at rushing, but I'll do it anyway. They might counter me. But the problem is, because you know that your rush is going to be really, really successful, you've essentially beaten that team in the first like 20-30 minutes. I don't personally see what's fun about that. If you want to do that, we might as well all just agree that we'll resign at the beginning of the game and you can get a victory to your name. Like, does that not achieve the same thing? There's a time for rushing in maybe a 4 versus 4 or where everyone's of the same skill level and you know that your rush isn't going to decide the game early on. It's going to take out a key player, but there's still going to be a bitter fight at the end. But if you know that rushing the enemy is basically just going to win the game in the first 20 minutes, I just don't see yay to you, that's a great power trip for yourself. But otherwise, like, what's the point? I just don't see it. And if I could rush, I'd do it once in a blue moon. I much prefer the later game. The big armies, the attrition wars, the constant back and forth, the tactical maneuvers, the like having to flank it at dire moments, things like that. I prefer that to the like let's beat everyone in the first 10 minutes. I've never liked rushing. It's my biggest qualm with online gaming. But unfortunately, in so many strategy games, it's just the way to win, and that I just dislike that. And popping on the treaties never really works, because all you need is one person to think that the treaty is giving them more protection than it actually will, and they're going to die the minute the treaty drops. Anyway, back to the game. Apologies for the rant. I popped it up to times 2 because this is a reasonably lengthy game. But Brasidas is now under attack. Aethrode has basically beaten Mats, let's be honest. Mats has got a lot of castles, but in this late stage, that's nothing. The war wagons can pump through that gap in the there, and the Berbers are firmly doing a number on the Turks. The Turks' lack of gold just means that they're nothing. The Turks are so gold intensive that on a map where there is no gold, they're out. They're just out. Before the map's even begun, you know they're out. It's just like, unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Obviously, he's killed Sub-Zero, but look at the scores changing now. Avadim really bursting onto the scene with a very high score there. And this is where Brasidas' the fact that Brasidas' base is basically nothing, a couple of houses and a town centre, is really, really going to impact this. Arbaku is still alive though, he hasn't quit. His base is still going quite strong, and he's got the whole northern section to himself. Obviously Avadim just using that as economy, but otherwise his force firmly planted in the south here. Classic Berber army, using your superior camels, because they, as you can see, camels heal themselves over time, so they're a very good army in low economy games. In compact games like this where there aren't very many resources, the camels of the Berbers are amazing, because you can just attack, run away, all of your camels will heal, you've got your army back again. And of course he's got camel archers. They're a type of cavalry archer with a attack bonus versus other cavalry archers. But at their base they are just a cavalry archer. And he's using them very effectively there. Brasidas, let's be honest, is now out of this game. Unless he can also run away. Which I can't see that he's done at the moment. But Avadim totally gaining. He's just sat back, built his economy. Look at the size of their bases. Even just the colouring. That's outrageous. And that's like nothing. Oh, should we test a theory? Alt-G. Yeah, it does work. If you press Alt and G, the game will swap between the one colour approach and the team colours. So at the minute I'm playing as Matt, so I'm now the blue player. My ally is always yellow, and everyone I'm against is red. And when you look at it like that, the situation looks pretty dire indeed. But when you swap back, it's obviously not like that at all. But the war wagons just like the Eagle Warriors are actually quite a good counter to the war wagons because of their high pierce armor, their fast speed, and the Aztecs get obviously very high attack Eagle Warriors. But with that many war wagons, it's going to be a challenge. Although those pikes are really, really shredding them. I assume he's now got Garland Wars, which means his pikes are arguably the highest damage pikes going. And look how many he's killed. That was outrageous. But he's got more, and Mats doesn't have any more, and that's the problem. Brasidas' base has really been ruined. Absolutely. And I remember this point in the game because Brasidas was well on top, and I thought, oh, Brasidas is going to win this. It doesn't seem to be a contest. And then out of nowhere, Avadim just smashes him into the dirt. In the space of, well, we've got it at times too, but in a really short space, he's gained 8,000 to his score. Look how many trebs he's got as well. He can just drop anything he wants. Brasidas has run away and put a market up first to swap his resources out, I suppose. And he's abandoned to the island. Now, speaking of the island, this is what my island currently looks like. A couple of castles on that one, a tower there, and I've got archers in them all. I've got fishing ships, and I've even started stealing trade from his dock. This is my second island. Houses and a couple of archery ranges, docks. And this is my third island, just farms. So that's how I'm doing, if you were wondering. Still the worst player in the game. But if we just swap to me, I'm sitting on a ton of resources. I'm probably the wealthiest person currently in the game. Should you have a look? Ah, no, Avadim beats me, the bugger. Anyway, Avadim firmly ousting Brasidas there, leaving only Arbaku who are left on the mainland and Mats, who aren't allied and don't really have the strength to repel what is attacking them. No, yeah, look, Mats is essentially out as well. Sad day. The wall up and let's not meet each other until we're ready thing was, I think, a good idea, but Mats just never got ready. Aerofrode did, and Mats kind of didn't, and so the war wagon horde is just too much, really, isn't it? And of course, Avadim. You can't. Avadim has won this for the Aerofrode's team, but I would certainly say that if Avadim was taken out of this, Aerofrode would still beat Avadim. Would still beat Mats on his own. I think he's just prepared more, whereas Matt's kind of sat in his little prison thinking he would be alright. He's got a big fleet though, so maybe that's where many of his resources went, thinking that this might be a bit more naval than it actually was. Brasidas got 3 docks up straight away, town centre up. Mats has also fled to that island behind him. Aerofrode's still just gathering wood from this island and now got idle villagers on it. No one's landed on this island, and I'm now trading with the dock, that dock, I believe. Just because you're not allied with them doesn't mean you can't steal their trade. I've got idle villagers now as well. We need to abandon this island. We've stolen all the wood, apart from those 2 trees there. But anyway, back to the centre. Aerofrode is left to clear Mats off the island, and the Berbers turn their attention to their African counterparts, the Ethiopians. Although, because they're all from the African kingdoms. He's just got too much. Avadim's just got too much. No one's really got the strength to repel that. That's the problem in 4 versus 4. It's very much like a free-for-all. In 4 teams, sorry. In that you'll be busy attacking someone, and whilst your army is away, someone will then attack your base. So you'll have a huge army, but your base will go down. And it seems to be the best way is to try and turtle. Try and, exactly like what Avadim has done. Take down your nearest enemy as fast as you can, and then just sit and wait. So that when you do get involved, your army is bigger and better than everyone else's. But sometimes, obviously, you're under attack, and it's not that easy to sit and wait. But they now firmly hold the mainland. They are... Aerofrode's still not actually a better score than Brasidas, even though Brasidas' base has been destroyed and he's fled to here. It shows you how strong his military was before. But Aerofrode will quickly overtake because his economy is stronger. And that sees Matt's base destroyed, essentially. Never upgraded his watchtowers. I see that happen so much. People rush you with watchtowers, and then they remain as watchtowers till the end of the game. In another game that I do hope to put up, we're very much saved by the fact that I dropped a load of towers in my base just purely for aesthetical reasons, and then I upgraded them to keeps, and then when my base got essentially overrun, the watchtowers and keeps ended up saving us. So you can never underestimate anything, really. That is an outrageous number of trebuchets. I mean, what is that? That is overkill 101, isn't it? Dear oh dear. There's nothing really else to look at, unfortunately. Aerofrode's killed Mats. Mats has now run to that island, but they've got more of a fleet than anyone else, so no real challenges coming there. But Brasidas is getting cannon galleons, as you can see. So he's hoping to swim round and take down what he can from the coast, but they haven't got very much on the coast, actually. They're quite lucky. But if Brasidas can stop him from getting a navy, then he can actually stop Avadim leaving. But Arbaku is out. No, he's fully out. He doesn't even have a navy. So it'd be interesting. You'll be pleased to know that I have managed to outlast the person who killed me, his ally, my ally, and an entire another team as well. Because at the moment I am doing better than Mats on the score. And I've got a stronger economy base than Brasidas. Running away has its merits. And it's now that I start tooling up and going for a fleet as well. Getting galleons, getting cannon galleons. Ah, but they've stopped our trade. Brasidas getting a little too close to the shore there, but he's bringing up his cannon galleons to assist. Now this is where Arbaku actually runs to, another island, but I was already on this island getting wood, and he attacked me with his villagers. So I thought, well, I'm not having any of that. So I dropped a siege workshop and made short work of him, basically. He just only his village. He's walling his own villagers in. He's fully trapping his villagers inside. So I sent a battering ram in. But on the mainland, as I say, they've beaten everyone here, so there's nothing left on the mainland. There's no more land-based combat left. It's going to all be ships now. Now, to try and counter those cannons, Avadim brings his horde of trebuchets back to the coast. Get some pot shots if he's lucky. Depends how well the cannon galleons move back and forth, back and forth. Oh yeah, no, they're going to be alright, aren't they? Because the trebuchets didn't fire in time, and then it's just a case of just running backwards and forwards, yeah. It's quickly seen that's not going to go down. I have beaten Barbecue off of my island and bring in my cannon galleons to drop the few troops that he has left. I want those resources, and I am currently the monopolizer of the runaway to the island strategy, having 3 of the things, and arguably now a 4th that we've just claimed. There's my ships as well, ensuring he's got nowhere to run. So that savagery I was shown at the beginning, I now repay in his darkest hour. When his forces flee to an island held under the control of the Mongol Empire, he seeks refuge and peace. And I deny him both. Killing him off there. But Avadim drops down a ton of docks on the backside, knowing he's got to tool up and go naval. He's got the economy on all of us, there's no denying that, as is Aerofrode. But Aerofrode seems to just be content to just sit and wait and watch and hope his ally wins, basically. Barbecue is attacking his dock with his totally non-upgraded fire galleys. But he gets too close to my castle and they die in one go. Got farms galore there. See, we needed to get wood. We were running out of wood. We've hoarded out the islands for all their wood. But this is our little navy. But then Brasidas comes in to kind of spoil the party. But we do have a little discussion, Brasidas and myself. If you swap over to me, because you can see what you can't see what other people say. But I speak with Brasidas and I suggest, because Brasidas sends me a message saying, let's join up to try and stop Avadim. And he's like, how best can we do that? And my response was, well, not attacking my navy would be a cracking start. And that's when Avadim finally discovers where I am. After all this time, someone finally finds me. He's found my castle, and he's found my tower and my dock. No! But I've got a ton of food, solid amount of gold, but no wood, and wood is all I need. I've got a load of trade cogs that can't do anything for me there either. But the cannon galleons, that's it. One cannon galleon could basically beat me. I've got to retreat my navy home. My navy, in inverted commas. My navy has been destroyed. What I do have left is taking pot shots at Brasidas, which is foolish. All the while, Avadim finally just defeating me. I had some Mangudai in each castle, I've sent them out. I will not go down without a fight. I had archers in the towers. Anything I can to attack those cannon galleons, but they're just pathetic, aren't they? Just rubbish. I rang the town bell. No effect. But I'm training a navy. Brasidas and myself and Matt's finally agreeing on a little ceasefire. Brasidas has got a huge navy. A huge navy. Matt's is doing alright with some fire galleys there. Brasidas' navy is vast. But as Avadim takes out my first island, and his force turns around to come for our second one, I try and flank in and hit those cannon galleons, which he sends in alone for some reason, and I drop basically all of them. Catch the cannon galleons out, and he comes in with some bloody those demolition ships. But my own demolition ships head into the number. No, they're trade cogs. I sent in the trade cogs just to slow him down, just to get in the way. And but really he ran away because he didn't want the demo cogs fall to towers really quickly, and I had a tower right on the edge. So. But Brasidas is attacking at the same time, coming in from that southern side. Ah, and I resign. All of that running away for nothing. I was outclassed, out-tooled, out-resourced. So with me gone, there's no substantial naval threat in the north anymore. Avadim has free reign. And he quickly drops Brasidas' army with his superior fast-fire ships. Matt's just patrolling over here for some reason. Airfrode starts tooling up and going naval and getting elite turtle ships out. Oh. Mats and Brasidas resign and it ends. So I managed to survive right till the end. I am like the thorn that won't be moved. Until you then get a knife and cut your arm off. Well, I lost. Grumpy resigned obviously ages ago. Good hour or something ago. Oh, and that's ended up being an hour. That's bang on timing. Well done, Gallo. Well done. But Brasidas retooling, getting a huge navy, but unfortunately the fast fire ships are so difficult to counter in the late game unless you've got real naval superiority. Avadim's economy ends up winning it for him. And if we quit current game and see the scores, Avadim solidly in the lead, a huge score, 29,000. Militarily, Minar lost more units than anyone else, and Avadim killed 590. He still didn't manage to get the most valuable player, though. That's ridiculous. His kill death is better than anyone's, and yet he didn't get the most valuable. Curious. Brasidas killed the next most, 413, as you might expect. Avadim destroyed the most buildings, again you might expect. Minar lost the most. Didn't really expect that one, I suppose, but there we are. No conversions, and the largest army held by Avadim. Economically speaking, Avadim won everything economy-wise. Economy-wise. Except for myself, who got the trade. You know it. I wasn't close second, really, in anything. Although, consider that I had to run away and I did that poorly. No, I was. I keep thinking I'm this one, but Airfrode hosted. I actually did astoundingly well economically. Given that I was kicked off the mainland and had to resort to those islands, I got more wood than all three of the people who were better than me. My food is on par with all three of them. My stone collection is on par with, on par with Minar, not as good as Matt's, but better than Brass. Gold collection, again on par with them. And consider that I fled. But then I wasn't attacked and I didn't train anything. But then that doesn't matter. This doesn't take into effect what you train. This is literally just how much wood did you collect? How much food did you collect? Stone, gold, etc. Etc. Technologically speaking, Mats was the first to the feudal at 10 minutes. That's not bad. Castle was Minar at 22. That's pretty quick. Imperial at 41 was Brasidas, and he explored 71% of the map. The research count was 59 for Avadim, not unexpected as he had the most economy. And the research president, no one cares about that. Aha! Relics captured, myself and Avadim each got one. And I got the most relic gold. Suck it. Villager high, 101. I was only 5 behind. So despite getting beaten really early on, I had the next highest villager population. But then my villagers were my only population. So swings and roundabouts. And then the timeline to see the... Look at that. That's just outrageous. He had pretty much 50% of the entire population of the game by the end. It was held solely by Avadim. But that concludes the episode. So thank you very much for watching, if indeed you have. Please leave any and all feedback that you'd like to leave, and we'll get round to answering it and talking about it in the comments throughout the day and the week. And if you do want to play with us, come into the Steam group. And the big gaming night tends to be on a Friday, GMT. A Friday evening from about 7. And sometimes we play throughout the week, but that's the day that I tend to post an announcement. But until we speak again, dear friends, Navar and den Perimad Melunin, Kuiomai, and farewell.